If you've never had sun-ripened pineapple, you're missing out on a real treat. You can grow your own pineapple. You don't have to live in Hawaii. You don't have to live in Central Florida like I do in the subtropics. You can grow them in the shade. You can grow them in the full sun. You can even grow them where you have frost and freeze. I'm going to show you how you can grow your own pineapple too. And at the end of the video, I'll even throw in a real easy recipe for a subtropical fruit salad.
All I have needs, I have not provided.
When I first started growing pineapple, I thought they had to be in the full sun. The plants right here in this row are in the partial shade most of the day. Starting around 3 o'clock, they are in the full sun. Further down here, these are in the sunshine all day. They are also more exposed to frost and freeze because they're further away from the house. Now I just cover them over with a blanket and just do the best I can. So even though these got a little bit frostbit a couple years ago, they still lived and they produced pineapples. You can see I've harvested some already. This group of pineapple plants are the same age as the plants I just showed you. 2 years ago, they got damaged by freeze and frost, even though I covered them. It just wasn't enough. I didn't think they'd recover. They were a real pale yellow for at least a year, but I kept fertilizing them at the same rate that I fertilized the others. And they're recovering okay, but they still not produced any pineapple. I'm hoping next year will be the year that they produce some pineapple. Can you tell how much bigger these are than the ones that are out in the full sun? Bigger plants make bigger pineapples too. I fertilize these the same as I fertilize the ones that are out in the full sun, but these grow larger, and the only difference is they're under the oak trees. So don't be afraid to grow your pineapples in partial shade. These get sunshine probably somewhere around 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon and continue to be in the full sun until the sun sets. Can you hear that squeak? I don't know if it's the motion of the pinwheel or the squeak that it makes, but it does keep the squirrels away, whether it's the pineapple or peanuts in my garden. It doesn't work for nocturnal animals though. If you want to keep the critters out of your pineapple, here's a trick that I've learned. Right before they get fully ripe, pick it. Those critters are waiting for it to get ripe too, so pick it, take it indoors, and it'll finish ripening indoors. This one's ready. This one is not ready. This one has another day, possibly 2 days. But as soon as it gets to the stage of this one over here, cut it off, take it inside. It will continue to ripen indoors. So if you want your pineapples to be fully ripened on the plant, you're going to have to cover it with a cage or some kind of covering that the animals can't figure out how to get through. You can cover up the whole area itself, or you can just cover up the fruit. Here's a new plant coming up off the mother plant. This new plant here will quite often produce another pineapple by this time next year. Sometimes it takes 2 years. Now this mother plant here will continue to produce pineapples every year or every other year for about 4 or 5 years, and then finally it dies. But this is one way that it reproduces itself. Some people call those pups. I'm not sure that's the proper name for the growth that comes right out of the mother plant itself. Here's another example of a plant coming up out of the mother plant. I've already harvested the pineapple that was here. But here is what I think is a true pup. Do you see how this one's coming up from the roots? I can dig that up and go plant it somewhere else, or I can just leave it here. Either way, it will eventually grow into a big plant like this one and produce a pineapple. This plant produced a pineapple last year. You can see the old stem down here. And this started out like this. But you see, it did not produce a pineapple this year, but it probably will by this time next year. So let me show you how easy it is to start your own pineapple plants. It's this easy. Be sure you leave some of the fruit here. I will plant the whole thing, even the part that's starting to go bad. I've had real good success that way. I'd say 3 out of 4 will grow a new plant. I'll lose 1 out of 4. The other thing that you can do is to go ahead and trim back all the fruit. Now the advantage of doing that is, and this happened to me a couple of times, a critter will come along, smell this ripe fruit here, and dig the whole thing up and eat what's left of the fruit. However, if you've trimmed back the fruit here, they're not going to be tempted to dig it up. There's nothing for them to eat. The thing you have to remember, the thing you have to be careful to do is be sure that it's buried all the way up to about the 2nd or 3rd leaves here. So you can take those off. Do you see where the white is here? You're going to bury it that deep into the soil, and then you're going to be watering it in. Now you don't want your pineapple to be too wet, but they can tolerate a little bit of drying out. But during the first few months, you want to keep the soil fairly moist. Just stick your finger down to about your knuckle, and if it's dry, you're going to go ahead and water it. If it's not dry, leave it alone. Now on this one, I don't take the leaves off. I just bury the whole fruit so that it's completely covered with dirt, and probably up to about right there with dirt. This is so easy, I almost feel silly showing you how to do it. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of worm castings to it. And I add a little bit of sulfur because it's not so much that my soil is alkaline, and that's what sulfur is for. It is to bring the pH of your soil down. But we water with well water, which here in Florida, it's very alkaline, and that may be why your soil could be running on the alkaline side as well. So I'm just going to mix that in real good all the way from quite a few inches down. Get it all loosened up. Now you're more than welcome to use store-bought soil. Just be sure that it's meant for pots. If you just buy garden soil, it's going to be pretty dense. Now, yes, this is garden soil that I've made up myself, but it's sand, or it has a sand base. It's actually been worked pretty good, so it's not just totally sand. But anyway, this is how easy it is. I'm going to bury it right up to there. Tap it down, and then I'll give it a water. I'm going to put one of these out in the bed where it's going to get full sun all the time because there's space there. Now, since I have been keeping this soil fertilized on a regular basis with weed water and on occasion some other granular fertilizer such as, you know, the sulfur and let's see, what else do I use? Epsom salts and the worm castings. I'm just going to add a little bit of that sulfur here. Just a tiny bit. And some worm castings just to give it a real good boost to start with. Now I'm running into some roots because I've got a loquat tree growing right here. And they get along with each other just fine. I just don't want to disturb those roots too awfully much. So I'm going to wiggle that in down around those roots. Tap it in real good. And push the mulch right back up around it. That's it. I'll water it in. I'm going to be planting the rest of those pineapple plants up underneath this neem tree. Actually, there's two of them. I know they're going to give them a good protection from the frost and maybe even from the freeze. Don't forget to water it in. Now, if you live in an area where it's freezing temperatures throughout the daytime, plant your pineapple in pots that you can take indoors, maybe to a sunroom or a really good sunny window. They'll be all right to stay the winter inside and just bring them back out when it's springtime. Pineapple are really forgiving, and you're going to have pineapple before you know it. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate your time. I hope it's been helpful, and I hope you grow lots of pineapple. And don't forget, give it a green thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on your bell notifications. I've got lots and lots of videos done already.